Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Straight Outta Boston, and today I'm back for episode number 55 of my Pittsburgh Pirates franchise series here on MLB 17, the show. So today we're back with the off-season, coming off of a World Series championship season in year number 6. So let's advance to the off-season. Our contract has come to an end, and we would have the option of going to another team like the Yankees, the Cubs, the Red Sox. It would be sort of interesting, but I am not. I'm going to stick with the Pirates. And we will have to continue our third base coach. We will need a new third base coach. Qualifying offer $19 million. Mauricio Dubon retires. That's unfortunate. And Mike Owings, we signed him last year. McCutchen, Votto, and Braun make the Hall of Fame. McCutchen makes the Hall of Fame going in as a San Francisco Giant. Guess we deserve that. I think he's going in as a Giant. I don't know if that's just the last team he played for. But he did play the latter half of his career. I mean, he won an MVP with the Pirates, so he certainly played his best years with the Pirates. But he was pretty good after we traded them. You could argue that trade went one way or the other. We got a MVP caliber year out of Brandon Crawford. But, alright, so Cueto's a free agent. Adams is a free agent. Other than that, I don't think we have any really big free agents. I don't know what I'm going to do with Rene Velasquez. How much money do we have? We have plenty of money, but Velasquez, his salary is going to be increasing. And my new philosophy with the relievers is I'm a big fan of the guys with high hits per nine. I think that's pretty much the key to Barrett Boyce's success. It's a big reason for Roberto Osuna's success, and that other guy, Campos, Andreas Campos' success. A guy we traded for pretty cheap. He doesn't have a good strikeout to walk ratio, but a good ERA. And I don't know, he just gets the job done. 85 overall. I used him in the playoffs and was pretty good with him. So, looking at the rest of the team, we will probably, see what the market is for the starting pitching, and possibly get someone to replace Cueto, who is 37 and kind of coming off a down year. He got hurt, and we used Hints in there for a little bit. We have good pitching depth. Bullpen, we could float Velasquez out there if we wanted to make a trade for like a right fielder or a first baseman, but I want to go with Rubio. He's coming off of winning Rookie of the Year. I want to go with him at first base next year for sure, and probably going to stick with Seager. Not going to look to trade him coming off of a down year. I'm going to hope that he bounces back next year. Lindor, we're obviously going to keep. Esposito, he was the World Series MVP. Sanchez was the postseason MVP. And Meadows is really, this is the spot you wonder if you should make an upgrade here. Meadows has 2 years of team control left, so maybe we go one more year with him before I would decide to make that kind of move. Certainly wait until free agency. We don't have to make decisions on too many of these guys until free agency. So Boyce is still 5 years away from being a free agent, and only looking for $1.5 million right now. Let's do that for 1 year. Velasquez, looking for 4.7. That's actually not too much. That's less than he made last year. I think he was in the 5s last year, so his salary is not going to be too much, which is maybe not going to be a problem. So maybe we keep him, but I would certainly still consider dangling him as a trade chip. And Austin Meadows, if we dangled both of those guys, I wonder what kind of right fielder we could get. And let's see, Meadows has 2 years left. We're going to sign him for one more year at 5.4. Mitch Keller, he's got lots of team control left. I think he's actually just contract renewable, so we can probably get him back for, let's do $750,000. Cueto, we're gonna let walk. Same thing with Matt Adams. Might bring him back, probably not though. He had that big 3-run home run in the World Series game, and it was overall pretty good for us after we traded for him, and has been a solid bat last few years for the Cardinals, so I'm sure he will land somewhere and be fine. Rubio, bring back 1 year. My new philosophy with the contracts too is to go 1 year, just because I don't want to lock the players up on team-friendly deals if it's going to make them unhappy and affect their player morale, because sometimes I do forget about that. Adam Frazier has sort of played himself into a bench role with us. 80 overall, really had a good year last year. 879. He had kind of been floating around in the minor leagues for a couple of years, but has re-emerged in his early 30s, now 80 overall, so I sort of feel like I really want to bring him back because he can play anywhere. So that is good depth to have. We'll give him 2.7. Cliff Hinson is also good depth to have, and we can have him for 590. Ben Wordved, who's been my third catcher, bring him back. Make him known that it's going to be depth though for 1 year. Felix Jorge, and I'll probably just cut out here and do the rest of these guys off camera. Alright, so we are all set with that. I don't think I had really anybody notable who I let go. And I forgot to look at third base coaches, so we will do that right now. And I think we will go with this guy, William Betson. There were actually a lot of pretty good candidates who weren't getting offers, and we'll gladly take William Betson. He's probably has some French here, some French in his roots. Alright, so let's see, manage contracts. So these are the guys we're letting walk. These are the minor league guys I'm probably going to end up releasing. But Adams and Cueto are the only free agents for us. And I assume that guy, he hasn't signed yet. Other than that, we're happy with our coaching staff coming off a World Series title. And there we go. So let's see who is a free agent. We have a little bit of money, not a ton. Addison Russell's coming off of a monster year. 44 home runs. And he plays in the infield position, looking for $30 million. Contreras, I'm sure he's also looking for $30 million. We have our guy in Gary Sanchez. So we talked about trading Sanchez in the past. He's coming off a monster year now. We have Mark Kimball, still coming up at some point. Sanchez is 30 now. He's got a contract for 3 more years. So we have plenty of leverage with him. We can keep him for at least 1 more year. Probably, no reason to get rid of him coming off of a World Series year in which he hit 33 home runs and was a big part of our success, and had that big grand slam in the game against the Dodgers that clinched our spot in the World Series. So I don't really think there's going to be like a good value play, a good undervalued player really available in free agency. Maybe Carter Capps, maybe it could be like a Drew Smyly to fill that Johnny Cueto spot in the rotation. We're certainly not going to sign anyone too big. Hayward, I don't really have an interest in. Thames is available. Thames had that monster year in Detroit, and I'm sure we could get him back, but we have Carlos Rubio. Suppose we could have them both in platoon, but kind of want to play Rubio every day. Carlos Martinez is kind of interesting. He has that low hits per 9 rating, but the kind of pedigree he has. Look at these seasons he had in 2018 and 2019. Down years, better last year. Still, peripherals weren't great. 3.58 FIP, not bad. 85 overall. They could easily bump up, but the potential's still only a B. So here's Alan Hansen. I don't really hear from him, but he's turned into a solid player since we traded him. 4 wins for the Mets in 2021. Orlando Arcia. There are a bunch of solid free agents available. Surely some sort of starter that we're going to sign other than Johnny Cueto. So I'm just taking a quick look at the contract situations for some of our guys, and I see DeGrom is a free agent in a year, and Tanaka is also a free agent in a year. So long term, we are going to need some starting pitching. Probably not going to retain both those guys. Largely depends on how they do. They're the same age. DeGrom has been a little bit better the last couple of years. I know Tanaka actually won the Cy Young 2 years ago, even though DeGrom had the better peripherals that year. And I'd say DeGrom has kind of been the #1 guy, although they've both been very good. But you do want to think about adding long-term pitching. You have Keller and Alvarez. Maybe that is, the kind of guy you could get for Rene Velasquez, because he does have a lot of value. So this is a pretty filthy package right here of Austin Meadows and Rene Velasquez. Lots of good offers around the league. Archie Bradley, Madison Bumgarner. Crazy offers. This Herb Schultz guy I probably have to take a look at, but I think the best of them all has to be Mike Trout, who I see is a little bit undervalued at 89 overall. And, I was looking at him when the Angels were in the ALCS last year before I thought we were going to play them in the World Series, but, he's had 3 straight almost 10-win seasons, and he does make a lot of money. We'd barely be fitting that in. Only getting rid of Velasquez and Meadows' salary would be ideal to offload even more salary, but I don't really know who we would offload. And I look at it in a year, we're getting rid of DeGrom and Tanaka's salary. Probably not going to retain both those guys, so We're getting money off the books in a year anyway. We're probably fine to do this. And you can see there are actually other pieces in this deal that we could maybe snag, like a good reliever perhaps. I obviously don't want to take on too much more money. They had Carson Smith in it. Smith has been pretty good, so maybe we take him. Do I want to take Derek Law back? Could take Derek Law since I am getting rid of Rene Velasquez. Law was solid for the Angels last year. Now our cash flow would be getting pretty low. That could be a little risky. Smith is the cheaper arm, but he's only available for 1 year. And Law does have the better hits per 9. Could also get Tyler Skaggs to be the new 4th starter. And that would only cost us maybe, yeah, like a Carlos Lozano, someone like that. I definitely wouldn't mind giving up. That wouldn't be bad. So if we take Tyler Skaggs on here, then we are really going to be cutting our money tight. And that is not something I really want to do at the moment, because I don't really know. We never really been dealing with this little amount of money before. We've always had a lot of money to play with in this franchise, and you know, taking on Trout's salary in addition to what we already have is going to be a lot. So I think Skaggs at 10 million maybe a bit much. You know, the salary, I mean, we could looking at maybe getting rid of like a Kyle Seager, but I already talked about how I want to see him, you know, maybe bounce back with us this year. So I think I'm going to take the salary of Derek Law instead. And honestly, the more I think about it, I think actually getting Skaggs makes more sense, just because it is only about 3 million more than Derek Law. So I think I'm just going to take Skaggs and figure out the money probably later. I think it's going to be fine for now. Hopefully, you know, we're going to have to send a reliever for pretty cheap probably. But we have pretty good depth within the organization, so I think it will be fine at the end of the day. Let's trade one of our starters. Yeah, Travis McGregor. Perfect. All right, this is going to be the deal then. Mike Trout and Tyler Skaggs for Austin Meadows, Rene Velasquez, and Travis McGregor. And this is going to be a pretty good trade for us, I think. We're certainly giving up a couple of good young guys, but we get Mike Trout out of it. I mean, how can you argue with the trade? That gets you Mike Trout, and we're going to play him in right field. Just move him to right field right away. Why not? And he goes up to a 91 overall. And I'm hoping he's going to bounce back. Hopefully, maybe even... He's got that 97 discipline. I love that. Still 74 speed, 76 fielding, and the high contact, good power. So I'm expecting, you know, big things out of him as a Pittsburgh Pirate. And you look at the rotation now. We slot Tyler Skaggs in there. He becomes the new number 4 in place of Cueto. Probably going to try and sign a reliever for cheap now. And maybe that guy is Carl Edwards Jr. He has the high hits per 9. That is, you know, something I've been talking about a little bit in this video. Fernando Rodriguez could be a cheap option. He has 84 hits per 9. I like that. Edwards would be nice. He's looking for 4.8. Caps is at 5.7. So it's really a matter of who you think is better there. But I think Edwards has the upper hand, honestly. I'd rather get him, so maybe we'll see if we can get him. Starters, we're not gonna go after. I probably would have gone after Drew Smiley, but we got Tyler Skaggs instead. Smiley also has a pretty good track record in the AL, so that wouldn't have been a bad option instead of Skaggs. But Skaggs had pitched pretty well for the Angels the last few seasons. In terms of getting another left-handed bat, Perhaps we will stay away and just look internally. We have Rubio. We have Guerrero, who can also play first base. I'm not sure about it. I mean, we have Frazier. We probably want at least one more left-handed bat. Could be Johnny Mosley. He's a righty. We have Valenzuela, who's a switch hitter. So maybe we do need one more bat. We'll certainly look at minor league free agents. And I'm going to snatch up a few minor league free agents here. Oh yes, look at this guy, Sebastian Ramos. 75 overall, and he can play right field. He might be on the team next year. And this Kurt Joyner guy is not bad either. They're both right-handed, which I don't need. I need left-handed. Mario Cordero, he's not bad. Sign him. Who else? Who else is available and good? Shortstops? Sometimes there are good shortstops. Doesn't appear to be the case this time around. Outfield also not appearing to be. anyone really worth signing here, so those are going to be our minor league deals. In terms of finding a major league bat, a lefty at either first base or corner outfield spot. Yeah, it's probably going to maybe. Nah. Jay Bruce is not good enough anymore. Cody Ashley, perhaps, but his ratings, honestly, that other guy has better ratings. Even if he is also right-handed, this Sebastian Ramos guy, like, why wouldn't I go with him? I mean, he doesn't have great discipline, but other than that, nothing not to like. And it could also be something I certainly try to address in a trade. Bobby Bradley got traded, Contreras to the Giants, Hayward to the Mets, Mariners get a starter, there's our trade. Sean Manaea to the Yankees. Let's look at the relievers real quick. And Carl Edwards already got signed, so that's okay. We will possibly look to trade for some relievers. I'm going to sign this Fernando Rodriguez to 1 year, $1.2 million. Maybe he gets a shot in the bullpen. Well, I think we're definitely going to have to look at trades now to fill the rest of the holes on our roster. Giants make their second big free agent signing, and the Twins sign Russell. Red Sox get Patrick Corbin. Wow, Arcia got big money. The Angels. Martinez, that's a pretty good deal for Washington, I think. Angels signed Kiermaier, so they're making moves. Yes, we got Sebastian Ramos. They signed Garrett, too. So the Angels are making huge moves after offloading Trout's salary. And they get Hanson. Holy smokes, they're coming back with a vengeance. We could see them in the World Series next year. So they made some huge moves. They could potentially be better. Looking at the guys who are left, Crawford, Quinn. How did Crawford do last year? Probably not very good. So I see this guy just got non-tendered by the Angels, and he had pretty good peripherals. Not great numbers the last couple of years, a little bit better last year, but pretty good peripherals, good strikeout numbers. And he got non-tendered, good strikeout rating too. Not a good hits per 9 rating, but maybe worth a shot on a 1-year deal. Why not? We're certainly looking to take some flyers on guys in the bullpen. Anyway, it actually says we can no longer afford the contract of Hildenberger, so that is how tight things have gotten financially now for us. And pretty much paying Fernando Rodriguez cost us him. I guess I'm just going to try and offload the salary so that I can sign Hildenberger. Get a minor league guy back for him, perhaps. Alright, so I will try to do this deal, see if this works. Because I would much rather have Hildenberger. A little bit more upside there if I get him for, say, 1.5 million. Hopefully I can afford that. No, I can't. Oh my gosh. And he's signed somewhere else, so we're definitely gonna have to look at adding to the bullpen through trades, and maybe the Rule 5. See who gets non-tendered. Anyone interesting? Kyle Farmer, that dude from the Dodgers, who actually is a pretty nice backup catcher. He's looking for like no money. I would sign him, but I have no money. And I need to save that money for relievers. We also have a good backup catcher. Not to mention this PJ Grubb guy. Ooh. This guy's nice. For San Diego last year. I'm surprised his OBP wasn't higher. Nice contact versus the lefties. But not what we need. So let's just keep going to all the way up to the Rule 5 draft. And I'm hoping we can snag someone maybe half decent in here. Sometimes I see somebody interesting. I got Ernesto Valenzuela here last year. And yeah, the deeper you get into these franchises, the more interesting the players are that become available. And just going by overall, maybe some decent relievers. So none of these like top prospects are nearly MLB ready enough to be stashed on the bench. Even this guy I don't really want. Leotis Taveras. Like last year, Valenzuela had a clear spot on the bench. He was ready to go, and he had good hitting ratings. The question is, do I want to take Vieira or Barbato? I took Vieira last year. I'll take him again. Why not? Give him a shot. See if he was very bad for us last year before I released him. And this is Cedric Walters. I think he actually was with us. I let him go. That was kind of maybe a mistake. A potential. Probably should have kept him, but oh well. So looking at our bullpen now, we still have Osuna, Boyce, Campos, and Segrist. But now Vieira, Favre. So if we add another guy, it's going to be in place of probably Vieira. Because we have Hinson there. Probably keep Hinson as the long man. And we have other guys like Jorge, like Quinn Gutierrez, who we could try out in the bullpen, or who we could honestly trade for a reliever, since we now have Skaggs and Keller. And then we have Gutierrez. We have pretty good pitching depth behind him. Eduardo Velez, who's a top 50 prospect. I could certainly dangle him for a couple good relievers. Or I could just even trade like Guillen and Bautista. These guys have better strikeout ratings, but I'm actually not going to make any of the trades for relievers until after the offseason, I think, because I want everyone to be signed. I want to be able to trade for guys who have not had their contracts renewed yet. So let's take one last look at our free agents. Yeah, we have no unsigned players. So now we will sim through. Actually, we can just do it now, I suppose. I will look for trades, and I'm just going to take a quick look at the free agents. See who made it all the way through. Some pretty good names here. I wish James Paxton was better in this franchise, because I would sign him. He's one of my favorite starters. He is so good. It's too bad they got hurt. Well, this is just... I don't really understand this, why this guy is valued so lowly by the Braves. Even though he's a top 50 prospect, I get that he's only 18. He's 58 years old, but he's only 18. You can be pretty much had for nothing. Like, even Jimmy Bassick, he could be had for, or Carlos Cruz. So I'm gonna do that, Carlos Cruz for him. But I'm still on the search for a good controllable reliever. I'm dangling Luis Ramirez, who I've decided is the pitching prospect I'm most willing to get rid of, and I really want a young reliever. This is another guy who's available for like almost nothing, it seems like, which is very odd. And he could be had along with Richard Springer, perhaps. That would fill out the bullpen kind of nicely. Look at that, like his value was so low. Which is very interesting. Probably a glitch in this game that needs to be fixed, but not the only glitch in this game, as we've seen. This Roger Santana, he was just traded from Tampa Bay this offseason to Chicago. He would be another good get. This Bobby Crosby guy is pretty nice. 2.29 ERA last year, and wish the strikeout numbers were a little bit better, but he's got good ratings. A potential 24 years old. But I think the most obvious thing to do is just to make the Steven Ting. I get that his walks per nine is really bad, but still the Ks are really high. The hits are pretty solid. So I think the most fair thing to do is do this. Get Springer and Ting. And maybe... I don't really want another starter, but maybe another young pitcher perhaps. I don't know. Alright, this will be the final trade. We get 3 guys for Ramirez. I'm going to throw in Vernon Piliero, who we used to have in the organization, along with Steven Ting and Richard Springer for Luis Ramirez. We get 2 controllable relievers to use in the bullpen, and I will probably... let's see. I'm not sure I'll have Ting in there to start the year. Probably use... I think Vieira will get knocked out by that trade because he will be replaced by Springer, but I think Favre will still be used over Ting to start the year, certainly. But we'll see if Ting makes it in there. We'll see. Hopefully no one gets hurt in the spring training. DeGrom and Trout both with minor injuries, but they're fine now. And it'll be interesting to see this team at full strength. I would imagine Trout makes us a better team this year than we were last year, I would think. Let's do quickly the roster. So yeah, these guys are on waivers. Hinson's on waivers. Made the team over him. So yeah, Vieira, we'll give him a shot. I'm not sure how he did in the spring. We will give him a shot over Hinson. I'm sure Hinson will make it through waivers. Ting starting the year in AAA. Kimball starting the year in AA. We've got Marlette and Sanchez still. Ramos, do we start him in the majors? Who do we have on the bench right now? We have Frazier. We have Hashimoto. I don't think we need him. Probably should have Rico Guerrero, though. So right now we're pretty much riding with Rico Guerrero over Sebastian Ramos on the bench right now. I'm going to keep Valenzuela on the Major League team. 79 overall coming off. He used limited playing time last year, but he had some big hits for us in the postseason. And I think he proved himself to be a solid bat off the bench, and a guy who could be a future starter for us. Potentially at third base, replacing Seager, or at first base. And, could see some at-bats against the right-handed pitching in place of Carlos Rubio if Rubio struggles against righties this year. But we have him, and I'm going to go with Guerrero over Sebastian Ramos for now. Ramos could certainly see himself up at the majors at some point this year, I would think. And we are going to be good to go. This is the waiver wire. I'm not interested in any of these guys. So that is going to wrap up the off season. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy. And as always, I am out.